Hey everyone, welcome to Live with Virginia NORML. I'm J.M. Padini, the Development Director for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws and the Executive Director of your chapter, Virginia NORML. As always, we're going to talk all things cannabis in the Commonwealth and answer your burning questions live today, August 12th, 2022. Let's get down to it. Happy Friday, friends. I know that all of you, like myself, are ready for the weekend. Not too much happening with cannabis in Virginia this week. Hey Tom, good to see you. There was the second meeting of the hemp task force. It's a pretty sparsely attended meeting on Tuesday, one of those days. This week I went. It was very warm in the Capitol, but we all made it through, and they had a lot of good conversations, and you can watch the whole thing. It was live streamed on the House of Delegates streaming page, and I'm sure we can find that for you and share it in the comments if you're super interested. Hey, Lance. Happy Friday. Congratulations, Lance. And hey, friends, join me in congratulating Lance from Missouri NORML on their successful effort qualifying for the ballot this November. Good job, buddy. Hey, Fred. Good to see you. One of the things that did come out earlier this week and was sort of reprised at the task force meeting is the news coming out of Blue Ridge Poison Control Center about the spike they're seeing in THC-related calls to poison control in Virginia, particularly amongst those who are under age. So we had shared some earlier content on this. The Blue Ridge Poison Control Center presented during the hemp task force meeting. And Virginia Mercury reported on it. So you can read about it there. It's probably one of the better articles we've seen on this topic, and particularly as it relates to Blue Ridge Poison Control. I will say that their presentation at the task force was great. It was on point. It was factual, at least according to what we've consistently seen in press releases. He said psychedelic, and that was kind of a weird way to refer cannabis, but other than that, it was good. Thank you, Cassidy, for finding the archive video of the task force and for sharing that Virginia Mercury piece. I'll tell you a little bit about what went down at the task force and what Blue Ridge said. Fascinating. And then, I think it's worth noting, since we're talking about unregulated synthetic cannabinoid products, there's a study that NORML reported on this week that, unsurprisingly, demonstrates that the use of these products, these unregulated synthetic products, falls post legalization. So someone's standing right outside my door. It's terrifying. So definitely take a look at that NORML blog by Deputy Director Paul Armentano, who is reporting on this study's results and is in no way surprised by them. So, I think it correlates nicely with what we were talking about before, that these unregulated products are definitely an issue in Virginia. We're seeing an uptick in calls to poison control, and Virginia is in that awkward phase between the enactment of legalization and the beginning of regulated retail sales, and enacting retail sales would help address this issue. Anyhow, and then I think it's also worth noting, since we're talking about Paul at NORML, he also has an op-ed out this week. Marijuana potency warrants greater education and regulation. I know that you all have seen these reefer madness claims rearing their heads in national media lately, claiming that high potency products pose such a risk to consumers that they ought to be outlawed. And I think Paul makes a wonderful point in his op-ed about, it's just not your grandma's weed. We've seen that before. We see that every generation, and this really is no different. And regulation again is what solves these problems, not prohibition. These problems exist under prohibition. They exist in the absence of regulatory oversight. Anyhow, hey, Marty in Illinois. Good to see you here. Hey, RJ. Yeah, so while the guy from Poison Control was saying psychedelic, I don't think that he was talking about the products that we're seeing more reporting on right now, like THCO and THCP, which sort of fancy themselves the psychedelics of weed. It was really just an inadvertent slip on that presenter's part. But hey, maybe he has been reading up on it. He knows what's going on. Happy Friday, Ellie. Good to see you. Hey, Ellie, since you're here, it reminds me about something, and we haven't put out the email for it yet, but it's going to come out either this weekend or early on Monday. Virginia NORML is hosting a fundraiser for Herb Jones. Herb Jones has served on the Virginia NORML board of directors for years. He's an all-around excellent human, and he is running for the Congressional District 1 seat here in Virginia. He's running against Representative Rob Whitman, who votes against pretty much anything whenever he gets a chance. And Virginia NORML is excited to host a fundraiser for Herb on August 20th. So we'll be sending out an email invitation to people who are in that district. If you're not in that district, but you want to come, we'd love to have you and share with you how you can support Herb's campaign. So feel free to reach out directly to us at info@virginianormal.org, and we'll send you that invitation link as well. But otherwise, people in Congressional District 1, stay tuned for your invite to this fundraiser, this meet and greet with Herb Jones, who is running to represent you in Congress. I don't know why that made me think of you, Ellie, or you made me think of that, but probably that I wanted to tell you about it. So you're welcome. Oh, Steve, I'm so glad you mentioned this. Not really. I mean, I am, but also, man, it's like some people are going to get mad, but we're going to talk about Steve's comment right now. Yeah, I mean, Steve says Delta 8 is garbage and it's legal, ? Let's keep it natural and have truth in labeling. The only risk to consumers is their ignorance. Yeah, Steve. And so the risk to consumers, yeah, absolutely. Ignorance does pose a risk, and consumers generally believe, the package. And that's the problem, is that products that are not regulated, that are intentionally labeled to look like they're a regulated product, that's really, to your point, that's not truth in labeling, and consumers deserve to believe that what they see on the package is what's in the product, and with unregulated products, that's just rarely the case. So, hey, Joshua. Hello, Harold. Good to see you all. Hey, Joshua. Hey, Harold. Did you know that NORML's weekend weed read comes out every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern? It's going to hit your mailbox between 9 and 9:15, as long as you're subscribed to get that email. Friends, if you're not getting the Weekend Weed Read, you should be. You can subscribe at normal.org/subscribe. Just check Weekend Weed Read box and it'll come to your inbox every Saturday morning. It's fun. You should check it out. Hey, Andrea. I mean, Andrea, yeah, I think for so many people around the country, these unregulated synthetic products are what they have access to, legal or otherwise. And, they believe that there's some amount of safety in purchasing products that they believe to be legal or think are regulated. And yeah, exactly, Andrea. That study that just came out that NORML reported on this week does indicate that use of these unregulated synthetic cannabinoid products fall following marijuana legalization. So yeah, hit the nail on the head there. Hey, Fonz, this is something else that we continually say here at NORML. And yeah, when arbitrary limits are put on THC products, whether it's flower or the product itself, then it just drives those consumers to the illicit market. Now, we don't have weird limits like that, fortunately, in Virginia. The only limit that we have in Virginia right now is on medical products, the single dose, and this really applies to products that you can consume orally, that you can ingest. It doesn't really apply to inhaled products. 10 milligrams of THC per dose. Dose means individual dose, not the total you take at once. So think like one ibuprofen is the dose, but you take 2 to 3 ibuprofen every 4 to 6 hours. That's the dosage. So no limits on dosage. But yeah, other states really are struggling with this, and it generally comes from people who just don't understand the regulatory landscape of cannabis, one that we've had real world experience with now in the United States for over 2 decades. That's why every single state that has retail sales has a serving size limit on edible products, because that's how we can best inform consumers of what they're buying. Whereas with an inhaled product, for flower, consumers are going to self-titrate. The same thing with concentrates. And in the concentrate form, of course, you want that to be just pure cannabis extract. You don't want manufacturers trying to meet some arbitrary percentage threshold, putting filler ingredients in there, like medium chain triglycerides, which you definitely don't want to inhale. We know that can damage your lung tissue. So yeah. Oh, look, it's our first block of the show. Thanks, you beat me to it, Cassidy. Oh, well, Joshua, I hope you're going to subscribe to Weekend Weed Read. When's the Senate gonna vote, Bob? Great question, Bob. You know what you should do, Bob? You should send a letter to your members of Congress in support of that. You can do that right now at normal.org/act. Click send. In like 4 clicks and under 20 seconds, you will have sent an email to your senators, your U.S. senators, in support of ending federal marijuana prohibition. That's like pretty good for a Friday. You should do that. Oh no, more blocking. Gotta block you here too. Oh, mercy. So, Brandon, I see you asking this question. I don't know if you're trying to be funny or if this is a serious question. Brandon wants to know, how is Delta 8 defined as synthetic if it's extracted from hemp? Well, that's just basic science, Brandon. It's not extracted from hemp. Maybe this is a genuine question and you don't know that, but it's not. Now, small amounts of Delta 8 do occur naturally in cannabis, but no one is extracting Delta 8 anywhere. from the plant itself. How it's being produced is through a chemical conversion process. This is a synthesis, and that's why it's a synthetic. Anyhow, that's the answer to your question. JT, thanks for sending your donation. Even if you are in a state that hates green, NORML can still use your support, so we appreciate that, JT. Oh, Bob, you're in Florida. All right, well, I'm sorry. You should definitely send those messages to Congress, though. Charlie. Hey, Charlie, I want to read this article in the Pilot. It says Norfolk officials are planning on 2024 sales. That might be that they are discussing it in regard to legislative priorities. But no, they don't know anything. Maybe like someone in Norfolk City Council, just not true, but maybe they were like, oh, I'm going to go hang out with Speaker Gilbert tonight and get him to create a path forward for retail sales in the House of Delegates. Do you think that happened? I don't. That'd be cool if they did, though. I bet they're just discussing it for legislative priorities, Charlie, but send me the article so I can read it. Hey, Rob. Good to see you. Hey, Dennis. Also, hello again, JT. Hello, South Carolina. Oh. Hey, RJ. RJ, when will Virginia have adult use stores? I mean, we were kind of just talking about that. So sales are supposed to begin in 2024, January 1, 2024, RJ, but there has yet to be a bill introduced that can succeed in the now Republican-controlled House of Delegates. And the reason why is not the content of the bill itself. It's not, please don't send us any unsolicited help about talking to conservatives. That's, we don't have a problem talking about marijuana to anyone, marijuana policy, regardless of where they fall on the political spectrum. The issue, RJ, is that there is not a committee in the House of Delegates whose chair wants to send a marijuana adult use retail sales bill to the floor of the House of Delegates. Some of it is just like personal issues about cannabis law. Some of it is a complete lack of understanding about what cannabis public policy really is. Some folks think that their core base doesn't support it because they've never polled on the issue. And a lot of it's just political partisan nonsense. In the Virginia General Assembly, this conversation typically is very often elevated to the low level of, well, the Democrats did this, and so we don't like it. So Virginia's really having to suffer under that inability to move this forward right now. So I don't know when there's going to be stores, but the good news is we do have a medical cannabis program in Virginia. It's really easy to participate in the medical cannabis program because we don't have a weird made-up list of conditions from which one must suffer in order to qualify for medical cannabis. What you have to do is get a written certification from a registered practitioner. We have telehealth for medical cannabis in Virginia. Yay. So you can do it pretty quickly and easily. Visit the Virginia NORML website. You can find all the details on how to find a provider. And if you want to register for a card after you get your certificate, you can do that as well. Those stores are open. Hey, Dave, when will I start sharing information about law changes? All right. So, Dave, first, thanks for tuning in to talk about the changes in law. So the big ones that I think consumers really want to know about are the changes in personal possession law. So an adult, I don't know if you're an adult 21 or older, but let's just assume we all are here in this conversation. Adults 21 and older can legally possess on their person or in any public place up to 1 ounce of marijuana. That's what it's defined in as code. Over 1 ounce and up to 4 ounces is subject to a $25 civil penalty. That's a fine. That doesn't come with a criminal record. Over 4 ounces is a misdemeanor. Over 1 pound is a felony. The big change was adding in that 4 ounce to 1 pound misdemeanor. Now, if you think about this in the context of flour, that's a lot of flour to have out in public. But edibles can get really heavy really quickly. So the best advice is to leave the edibles at home for the time being. Enjoy them there where you're definitely not in public and not having to worry about inadvertently violating any new laws. Now, some great things that were fixed in code were the penalties previously associated with personal cultivation. If you failed to tag your plants properly to prevent access by those under 21, or to failed to prevent your plants from being seen, how do you say that? Plants from being visible from a public way. If you didn't properly shield your plants, if you were cultivating outdoors, then because there was no penalty specified in code, you could be subject to a Class 6 felony. Well, that section of code has been cleaned up, and it's specified now that it's a $25 fine, no more. So excellent news in that regard. Still, be sure to follow the really basic and super easy to understand considerations for cultivating cannabis legally at home. Tag your plants with your full name, with your driver's license or state-issued ID number, and that they are for personal use. Prevent unauthorized access by those under 21. And if you are cultivating outdoors, they cannot be visible from a public way. That's like the sidewalk or a public park. It's not your neighbor's backyard. Dave, phone's ringing. Dave, you do have good laws in Maine, so congratulations. Oh, Rick, that's very nice to hear. I'm just going to share your comment there with everyone that you were able to visit Rise in Christiansburg, and everyone was friendly and helpful. Excellent. Glad to hear it, Rick. All right, friends. Someone from Rise is calling me right now. That was weird. Listen, I can't talk to you right now. I'm doing a show. I have some things sitting next to me right now that I want to share with you all. I saw that Beyond Hello in Alexandria opened. We all saw that, but they posted some social media about that. And I noticed in their post that they have storage products available at the store. And I thought that was really smart. Of course, you don't have to go to their store to get it. You can get it in our Facebook shop. So we have 2 options for safe storage. This is great for at home, or also if you have to drive somewhere in Virginia, lock it up, put it in your trunk. So we do have this bag in our Facebook shop for $20, and we have this case which has all kinds of little components and adjustable Velcro. It's black, so of course you can't see in there. Little Velcro pieces so you can customize it for whatever you need to carry. This is $25 in the Virginia NORML Facebook shop. And so these, if you buy these from us, it's really a donation to Virginia NORML. And we would be happy to send that to you as well. Oh, you all are going to be the first people to see these. Okay, so this delightful company called Higher Promos, or higherpromos.com, they reached out to us at NORML and said, hey, we want to donate some product to you. Can you tell us what you want? They wanted to do some lapel pins for us, and so they did. And these brand new NORML lapel pins just arrived in my office, and we will have these available in the NORML shop probably the week after next. If I drop them in the mail on Monday, then probably take about a week to get them live in the in the NORML Facebook store, in the NORML web store. Oh my gosh, I'm mixing two things together. Yeah. So look for these soon at store.normal.org. We'll probably have a few available in the Virginia NORML Facebook shop as well. But thanks to Higher Promos for making these awesome pins for us. Yay. Oh, Dave. Yeah, so some states are catching up. Some states are catching up, Dave. In Georgia, another big county joined the growing list of cities and counties that have passed decriminalization ordinances. And there are 5 local ballot initiatives or voter referenda in Texas this November on local decrim as well. So some states are, in fact, catching up, trying the best they can. And Joshua, yes. So we went through the paraphernalia code last week to just kind of go through it and see what we thought maybe needed to be addressed. And there are some prohibitions on selling paraphernalia, particularly to people under age. And we went ahead and put those code sections on the legalization cheat sheet on, hey Tony, on the Virginia NORML website. So if you scroll all the way down to the bottom you just click on legalization, the word itself in the toolbar, you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you will see the remaining paraphernalia sections that are in code, and they really have to do with selling them to people underage and advertising. But otherwise, you should be fine to possess your paraphernalia. I will say, don't do it in your car. Just, oh, please, people. It's so easy to make good choices. The majority of marijuana-related violations stem from traffic stops. So do yourself a favor. Don't smell like weed in your car. And also buy something that costs $20 and saves you so much heartache. Put anything you have to transport in your smell-proof container, lock it up and put it in your trunk. Make good choices. See that sign? Sherry made it for me. It's right there. Make good choices. Hi, Tony. Hi, Tony. Hey, RJ in Ohio. Tony, I'm so glad you asked. And Tommy, I'm going to answer your question next. So Tony wants to know what we can do about getting prices reduced. Well, we collectively can't do anything. I mean, you can encourage people to participate in the medical cannabis program, because the more customers there are, the more prices can come down. July 1st, we ended the requirement that patients register in order to shop in stores. And so that really helped offset some of the difficulties with participating in the medical cannabis program. But the state can't control pricing. And we see this a lot, like that. There's possibly going to be some legislative fix. There isn't. There's not going to be a legislative price control of cannabis and medical cannabis. The good news is there's no tax on medical cannabis in Virginia because it's medicine. We don't tax medicine in Virginia. So the way prices will come down is when the market expands both ways, when retail expands and when the consumer population grows. That's, just some basic economics there as to why prices will come down. Tony, we did add a page on our website called Save on Medical Cannabis in Virginia. In fact, we talked about it last week, and there are a number of ways you can save money on medical cannabis in Virginia, not only from your registration itself, but also to the products at the dispensaries. So make sure you check out that webpage and make sure you are signed up. So let's say you're in the Hampton Roads area, then you would want to make sure you sign up for Stash Cash. That is the rewards program for Columbia Care and Cannabis, the provider in that health service area. They're all listed by health service area on this page. It's under the medical tab on the Virginia NORML website. And thank you. I can see Ben and/or Cassidy has just dropped that link in there for you. Make sure you're following your favorite Virginia dispensaries on social media. Make sure you sign up to get text messages from them. Because these products are regulated by Board of Pharmacy, they have to have an expiration date, like any medicine. This doesn't mean that on that day the medicine is useless, right? It's just the expiration date that they've settled on, and they're pretty short in Virginia. So as expiration dates approach, you'll start getting those notices via text or via email, or you'll see them on social media about specials and sales that they have. So super easy way to stay on top of the products that you like and find out when they're on sale. Just gonna pop your little comment up there for a minute, Sherry, because I'm so entertained by it. Thanks for asking the question, Tony. Tommy wants to know, Tommy says no word on upcoming commercial production or processing for more businesses. No, not at this time, Tommy. There's just not a path forward in the House of Delegates right now. And that's the real problem. That could change by General Assembly, but the way it stands today just isn't a path forward. So it doesn't really matter what the bill looks like. Doesn't mean we're not going to try. It's just there's not a path forward because there aren't any committee chairs that will let such a bill succeed. Yeah, but it might be that medical expansion is able to be accomplished before adult use licensing. Elections have consequences, friends. Oh. Tony, good to see you back. Oh, Jimmy. Jimmy poses just an ever popular question here. Jimmy says, what is the legal status of these private weed-friendly ticketed events, grow contests with samples, etc.? Also outdoor concerts in general on private property. Okay. So it'd be great if there were there's just one section of code that really spoke directly to this, but there's not. There's 3. So, Jimmy, are these events legal? They are for some people and they aren't for others. That's not true. What it is that no, it's not legal, but is it legal and is it enforced are two different questions. And that's where it comes down to who you are and where you are and when you are and all of those things. So first of all, consumption in public is subject to a $25 civil penalty. Public place is defined in code. It's generally a place that a member of the public has access to. Calling something private doesn't make it private, but there's a real will, a real desire for that to be true in Virginia. People are like, this is a private event, 21 and older only, buy your tickets here. Okay, first of all, calling it private didn't make it private. Can the public still buy a ticket? And did you just exchange money? Right there? Yeah. So there's also a law in code right now that prohibits reciprocal transactions. So, what you largely saw in DC, where you buy a very expensive t-shirt, you get a gift of cannabis with that. So there's a prohibition on the exchange of goods or services or money for adult use marijuana right now in Virginia. So there are a number of ways where these types of events, Jimmy, are illegal according to multiple code sections. Public distribution is prohibited in and of itself as well, not to mention just an outright, another code section that's not in 4.1, that's in 18.2, that possession with intent to distribute, that's also illegal. Calling an event private doesn't make PWID go away. Samples, that's public distribution. but then when you see with like concerts and such, there's a ticket exchange. Typically, it's what does we have events that call us all the time. And they say, well, can people smoke at my outdoor concert? Can we put up a tent and let them consume in there? And we always encourage them just to reach out to local law enforcement, because it's really where the issue lies. Is what does local law enforcement think about this? Is this something that they are concerned about? And if they don't want it to happen, then odds are they might come in and enforce these existing laws at your event. Whereas, they may give you the response that we've heard from other event producers where, local law enforcement said, oh, that's not a priority for us. Just make sure everyone's safe. So is it legal? No. Do people get away with it? Absolutely. Marijuana laws were enforced disparately and differently throughout Virginia before legalization, and they still are afterward. Oh, Rick, I'm just going to put that right there because that was so smart. Rick says definitely sign up for medical and vote for a General Assembly that will support the implementation of adult retail sales. It's like you work here, Rick. JT, aren't you in Indiana? Can you go to a legal state doctor to get medical certified? In some states you can. Most states have some sort of residency requirement. Some other states don't. Hey, Fonz, I'm so glad you brought that up. So Fonz says we really need to work on the public consumption bill next year. If you can smoke cigarettes, you can smoke cannabis, go New York. And so Fonz, this was a legislative priority for us heading into 2022. At the end of 21, when we were preparing our legislative priorities, that was at the top of the list. The election happened in November, and the House of Delegates is now controlled by Republicans, and we knew that that was entirely off the table. So that's why you didn't see that bill in 2022, because there's just not a path forward. But yeah, Fonz, that's absolutely something that we'd like to address. And we assumed that if there were Democratic control in both chambers, that we would have been able to pass that, but we don't have a path forward for that this time. James wants to know, so what's up with the gifting then? It happens in DC. In Virginia, there are laws specifically making gifting illegal. Now, that doesn't apply to adult sharing. Adult sharing is something else. Adult sharing is what adults are allowed to do in Virginia under Virginia law. If you're 21 or older, you can share with other adults up to 1 ounce of marijuana. You cannot do it in public. So you can't, go to the park and give your friend a brownie. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to share in public according to Virginia law. But you can share not in public. And you're also not allowed to share and then ask for money or goods or services in exchange for said adult sharing, is what it's called in Virginia. So I hope that clears it up for you, James. But again, is it legal and is it enforced? Those are two entirely different things, literally everywhere. Well, friends, it's getting that time. If you have any last minute questions, go ahead and get those in right now. Now's a good time to remind you, please like, follow, subscribe, share, whatever platform you're watching on. Please do all those things. We're streaming live every week on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Twitter. So please make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. NORML, Virginia NORML, or the local NORML chapter of your choice, so you never miss a thing from NORML news. All right, JT, see you. Hey, thanks, Tony. Thanks for stopping by. Enjoy your weekend as well. And I'll see you all back here next Friday for another live with Virginia NORML. Thanks so much for watching.